Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ineffable Podcast. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Madi.
And today we are talking about the lead up to the finale. And the reason that I chose this topic is because, first of all, when I first wrote everything down, the finale wasn't out yet. But then, second of all, the lead up to the finale was very interesting. Because it was very controversial. We are going to be, if that's okay with Maddie, discussing some of the controversy that went on. If none of you want to hear about the allegations, if it's triggering for you, please click away now, because if Maddie's comfortable, are you comfortable?
Yes.
We will be going into detail. Not detail about like the allegations themselves, but what led to the finale being what it was and things like that. So this is your cue to step away if you need to. Prioritize your mental health. It always comes first, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Okay.
Most definitely.
So the finale's interesting. It was interesting. We're not gonna talk spoilers here. We're gonna talk about like how it started and what came to it, I suppose. When the finale was like, when the release date dropped, I remember being so excited. Because I thought it was never coming out. Did you think it was never coming out?
Yeah, I've talked to people. This was like, I think you'll agree, this was unlike any hiatus between shows any fandom I've ever been in ever.
Yeah.
It started directly after season 2. Like, we all were reeling from the final 15 in a way, like, emotional whiplash none of us expected because of, like, that. And how different it was tonally from the end of season 1. And, I mean, it starts off plain and simply, they didn't even tell us we were getting a season 3 for, what was it, like, 3 or 4 months.
Oh, that was because of the writer's strike, though. They couldn't do anything, so they couldn't renew it straight away.
Was it? Or did the writer's strike come after the announcement?
No, the writer's strike happened in like June-ish. So it was no. It happened like the beginning of the year, and when Good Omens 2 came out, the writer's strike was still going on.
Okay.
So anything that was renewed by Amazon or Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever was already renewed before the strikes began. So things couldn't be renewed while the strike was going on.
Yeah, that was wild. We're all just like, dude, you can't leave it there.
I know, it was mad. They should have just renewed it for season 3 in advance, especially if they knew that it was going to be left on a cliffhanger. I don't know why they didn't, but there you
go. Agreed.
But yeah, I didn't think it was coming out. So when because I remember Michael Sheen being asked about it and him saying, okay, this was made in really difficult circumstances. I don't even know if you guys are going to see it. I don't even know if it's being released. Like, he legitimately said this. And then I was like, oh no, is it not being... I mean, I get it. I would understand if it's not released, but also, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Like, that's where you're gonna leave it.
I know, right? So when the release date got, when we found out what the release date was, what was your reaction? How did you feel?
I was relieved, definitely, because I'm like, I mean, they told us it was still happening, and then they just kind of dropped it on us. There were no lead ups to say, oh yeah, it was literally the day before that they released that evil little like season 2 review with Muriel. Like, how dare they just casually drop the final 15 on us like that? And then, like, oh, by the way, trailer tomorrow.
And we were like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean?
If you guys have been here for a while, I immediately, initially vowed not to watch the trailer. But then it came out. And I just couldn't help myself.
It's like, it's been 3 years. We are weak. We are desperate for some sort of. There wasn't any promo. There wasn't any like. The only thing we got was like random behind the scenes photos in Edinburgh. That was like the only hint that we had of like anything going on. I love how the joke online was like anyone who would let anything slip, they would like chain them up in the basement
Oh, yeah, I
because
know.
they just weren't saying anything.
I mean, you can't really say much, you know? Like,
Yeah.
think about it in itself. It's 90 minutes long. If you give away anything,
Mhm.
you're kind of screwed. And then also, it was a difficult situation. It really was.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the thing for me
Yeah.
is, oh, go on. What were you
Go
gonna
ahead.
say?
Yeah, so go on.
Oh, it's okay. Um, I was gonna say, and the thing about it for me, like the thing that kept me going through the hype of it and stuff like that was this story is gonna get finished one way or the other. That's what like I don't need like I remember people being so pissed off that it was 90 minutes long. I was like, bitch, be grateful we're getting anything.
Mhm.
Like I was not
And
annoyed that it was 90 minutes long. I was happy when I found out.
yeah, I had a friend, we talked about this um and different endings and whatever, and she said, "You know what? I'm always going to prefer when things are finished because like if things don't get finished, then I'm always going to wonder what if my brain's never stop. But at least if I have something to definitively have in my head, then I can either decide, okay, yeah, I accept that, or no, that's garbage. I'm rewriting it in my own brain, and this is how it actually happened." She's
Yeah.
like, but it's just going to be an eternal question mark if I don't have anything, and that's never going to go away.
I know, and it was such a cruel note to leave it on. I
Mhm.
think they had to finish it.
Exactly.
From what I understand, Amazon initially did cancel it.
Mhm.
And then Terry Pratchett's daughter, came in and was like, no, we need to finish this.
Mhm.
So,
Bless her and Rob Wilkins
yeah, bless
because
Rihanna Pratchett and
they
Rob Wilkins.
they are the reason we got to see our beloved David and Michael on screen together as Crowley and Zerka one final time.
And it must have been, again, we're not going to go into details of the finale. It must have just been so. I feel so bad for David and Michael. They were
Mhm.
they were caught up in all of this bullshit, and I just feel so bad for them. And then people like when Georgia, because Georgia, David's wife, has like a lot of social media and stuff like that. When people saw that she didn't do like, oh, she didn't post anything about like him filming Good Omens, people were like, oh, why isn't she doing anything? Why do you think? Like,
Mhm.
have some brains. Why do you think she's not openly talking about it? She
Mhm.
even did a podcast with him a while ago. I don't remember what podcast it was. And she said, I'm not going to say what this thing is that I'm talking about that you've been in. It was quite controversial, but at least you made a brilliant friend out of it. And people assumed, obviously, that was she was talking about Good Omens. We don't know that she was talking about Good Omens, but she very well could have been, because she did say, we don't like to talk about it, but you made a great friend out of it. So
Mhm.
she's I think she's erring on the side of, not to assume her intentions or anything. I think she's erring on the side of, let's not bring this up. And that's fine. Like people say like, oh, they don't love Good Omens anymore. Like even if they don't, that's their prerogative, that's their right, and I don't feel like people should be getting in the middle of that and saying, "Oh, you must love this show that was attached to a horrible person." You know.
Mhm. And it's okay for them to work through like it's okay for them to also still love the show but have very complicated feelings about it now with like how everything went down with, because I'm sure there's a lot of like good wrapped up in the show for them. They have each other now as this now lifelong best friend situation. They've got all of these memories of like 7 years creating this thing and having this bond together. And so, like, it's okay if there's a lot of feelings involved in this thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, that would be complicated for anybody. And I remember people being like panicking, being like, "Oh, David and Michael don't want to do it." Like, okay, if they don't want to do it, you can't blame them.
Hmm.
Like, I remember when the finale was getting press and coming out and stuff like that, and people being like, "Oh, there's no interviews. Why are there no interviews?" And I'm sitting there like, "Oh my god, it's not a hard question to answer, and I think you know the answer." You know,
Mm.
it was
Mm.
complicated. It was filled with controversies, and people did their best. They did their best, and
I
I imagine they didn't do interviews because the conversation of why isn't a 90-minute finale would have come up, and then that would have been like, yeah.
Yeah, nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted to have to, because, like, I mean, even it's what's also frustrating is, like, even with the people that are, like, even if they do have good feelings about, like, the experience itself and with each other and with the rest of the cast they worked with and whatever, that someone, at least, like, if they, I don't know, there would always be the fear that someone was going to be an absolute loser and bring up the controversy or bring up the crap, even if they tried to put a gag order on it and tried to say, like, we are not going there. Like, something like that was gonna happen. Like, it makes me think of, there was one interview with Robert Downey Jr. where someone asked him about his, like, previous history. He's got kind of a colorful past that
Mm-hmm.
he with, like, substance use and things like that. And he seriously, like, gave them and the camera a look like, "Are you for real?" And he walked out the door.
I saw
He
that.
he yeah. And so I'm like, that was probably also figuring into it, like, aside from the controversy, like, there would always be that fear of, is this gonna be brought up when we really, like, we're trying to deal with this privately in our own way, in our own time. Like, we don't want to deal with this in the public eye.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's interesting that you brought up the Robert Downey Jr. situation, because that again was a really unprofessional situation, and that interviewer, because I'm in Ireland, and I was born in the UK. I'm half English, so I know a lot of the stuff that goes on around the British industry. I'll tell you something about that interviewer in general. He's known for making people feel uncomfortable.
Ugh.
So that was not the first time that something like that had happened. I think someone else had also walked out of an interview with him because he'd asked invasive questions.
Yeah, and that's, like, really, why you got to be that guy? Just
Yeah.
don't have a little respect for the actual human beings that are involved in this thing.
Yeah, like, I remember talking to a family member about it, and a family member of mine being like, "Why are there no interviews? Why are they not going on the one show?" And I'm like, well, I mean, would you honestly want to go on to the one show and have to explain away the circumstances of why a full season 3 is now condensed into a 90-minute movie? I don't think so.
Exactly.
But like,
Especially with Michael, had such a history with him. They were friends long before this happened, and, like,
yeah.
David had a little bit less experience with him, but they like knew each other, and so it's just, like, talk about a betrayal.
I know, right? It must. I always think about how difficult it must have been for them.
Hmm.
And the only thing I'm glad about is that they didn't lose their friendship over it.
Hmm.
They're still,
Same.
because I was worried about that. I was like, oh my god, are they going to stop being friends out of association? and things like that. But I'm so glad that they're still friends, and I'm so glad they still have that bond, because and that, you know, certain people didn't ruin it for them.
And I'm happy that they released at least the little 2-3 minute blip behind the scenes talking about season 3, where they it did still seem like they were able to talk about um how much the story meant to them, how much it meant to them that they were able to come back and finish it up and feel like they were able to. They obviously didn't mention those 90 minutes, but like how much good it felt to be back together, back with the crew, back with the story. So I'm glad we at least got that little bit of closure with them, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I when I saw that, I was thinking like, oh, you know, this is gonna be difficult for them. But then seeing Michael get emotional, talking about it and
Mhm.
tearing up, it was like, oh, it was so sweet, and I'm so glad that they're able to find some comfort still in the fact that, you know, the fans love them, and the fact they were able to maintain their friendship, and just they understood that it was important to people, and they also but the main priority, because I don't like it when people say, oh, you know, Good Omens is important to people, so you have to finish it. I prefer the
Mhm.
sentiment of, this is what Terry Pratchett would have wanted. It's about
Mhm.
him. This whole adaptation started with him on his deathbed,
Mhm.
being with his co-creator being asked to do something.
Mhm. And I think at this point also it has become bigger than like even the authors. It's become this safe space, this like I don't know, it's like we were talking about, people identify with this world and these people, and in an interview he said like this is kind of for the people who don't feel like they fit in or feel like they're kind of on the outside. And so I love that we were able to do that justice and have an ending and not just feel like it was just dropped because of like circumstances out of so many of the people involved's control.
Yeah, and it's like, when, and again, like, I wasn't like, up until the release date, I was shut down. Like, I was not there mentally at all. Like, I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
thinking, you know, if it comes out, it comes out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't even care anymore. And then the release date dropped, and I was like, okay, they're actually doing it. I'm rather excited. And then
Mm-hmm.
I made Podfix, and I was like, guys, it's coming out. And I was right back into it again. And the night before the finale, I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep a wink.
Mm,
I
I believe
tried
it.
to go to sleep. I think I slept for like a half an hour, and then I just woke up again.
I love that.
How excited were you for the finale in general?
I was very excited just because I'm like, okay, whatever happens, happens. I know there's a good chance that it might be polarizing just because so much of media nowadays is. It just feels like I honestly don't know the last time that I have seen anything like an ending of anything that people have just all consumingly liked and been satisfied with. I don't know what it is about media today, but that was just kind of my expectation going in. Is like, we'll see if they resist, but I don't know. The last few shows I finished, like Supernatural, Stranger Things, they've all had some level of like the Umbrella Academy. All of them had some level of something going on that people had something to say about the finale. So I was just kind of freaking out, but also like, okay, just prepare yourself for whatever, no matter what way it goes. Just prepare yourself.
See, I was different, because Good Omens had been consistently good throughout its run. And I was
Mhm.
sitting there like, oh, this is gonna be dope. This is gonna be dope. Of course,
Mhm.
like, I have my opinions on it now, and we'll get to them when we get to the final episode. But at the time, I was thinking, this is going to be dope. This is going to be so good. And no bad review, because there were really terrible reviews. I said, no bad review is going to stop me from enjoying this masterpiece. Which is really funny now that I look back on it. Because it wasn't a masterpiece. It was not a masterpiece. Not spoiling it for anybody, but it was not a masterpiece. It was so far from a masterpiece. You could have built an ocean and a boat over how far it was from a freaking masterpiece.
I don't envy them trying to figure out how to puzzle piece what they were left with when the writers changed. I really don't, because all of the stress, all of the how do we make this work now? How do we tell the story we want to tell still? Because, like, I don't know. You have, and like maybe in hindsight, there were things that, like, if they had had more time or whatever, maybe they would have shifted focus and like cut a few things and shifted focus to something else that would have changed things. But yeah, I don't envy them having to cut out like 5 hours of content. That must have just ripped out their hearts, knowing all that they were having to, all that could have been in there that wasn't going to be seen.
Yeah, and you know what this is my opinion. I think that instead of condensing it into a 90-minute movie, they should have brought in someone to write it from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we could have gotten the 6 episodes, and that way it wouldn't have been an incoherent, blubbery mess. But there you go, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, kind of goes back to what we talked about last podfic, where if you do that, then it's like, then you really can't, for copyright, you probably couldn't have kept like anything that Terry had included for the finale, because that was what was in the original 6 script. So it's just like, what's the lesser of two evils?
Yeah, that makes sense, though. That makes sense.
But got as close as we could to what that initial conversation would have been and how the plan was supposed to go.
Yeah. Like, they did their best, and that's what we need to remember. And, like, the hype was so big, though. I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. Like, people were all over social media being like, oh my god, it's coming out. And I'm like, people still care? Wow.
Which made me happy. Because I'm like, we waited so long. This drives, I have very mixed feelings about streaming nowadays, because I think there's some good things in it. Number one, that we get a lot of people in stuff that we wouldn't get them in, like Meryl Streep being in a TV show with Only Murders in the Building.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Like that. Things like that never would have happened when they had to lock in for longer TV contracts. You're getting much bigger stars in shows like this, because with bigger breaks, they'd be like, oh, okay, I can do TV for a minute, and then I can go back to the movies I usually do, and then break for TV. So it gives them more flexibility, and it opens up for shows to be made that never would have been made, because they don't fit either the traditional TV format, or because like minisodes weren't a thing on cable TV. You didn't go into a show planning on it only being 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Or whatever, 6, 8, 10, whatever. That wasn't a thing. And so anything that wouldn't fit neatly into a TV show idea or a movie idea just wouldn't exist. Good Omens is a perfect example of that. It never would have existed before streaming in the form that we got it in.
Well, that's not entirely true. For UK television, that was often the case. Like, they would often do 45-minute episodes and then stretch them out to 13 or 8 or something like that. They did that with Black Mirror, and that was pre-Netflix era. Because I think
that's true.
I think Black
I
Mirror
guess I'm
went
speaking
like,
from an American perspective, yeah.
yeah, like I think before Black Mirror did like 3 seasons without them, and it was
Mhm.
just like 8 episodes of madness. But like it was just 8 episodes. Like Britain have been doing mini shows and mini series for as long as I've been alive, maybe even like
Mhm.
longer than that. And America took a while to catch up, but they eventually got there. And you
Yeah, you do
find
make a
like,
good point. Yeah, I guess that is true. I'm coming at it from an American perspective where most of the TV shows I was exposed to before streaming, that was the intention was they were gonna try to go on as long as they could.
yeah, but like think about, but I have one for you. Breaking
Okay.
Bad. Breaking Bad.
Okay.
That was what, 13 episodes a season? And that wasn't on
I think
streaming
so.
because it came out in 2008.
Mhm.
So that's an example of a mini series. Well, not really. It's not really a mini series because again, it went on for 5 seasons. So I suppose
Mm.
that's not really a good example. Forget that. But I think there are examples out there, especially like Channel 4, which is a broadcasting company over in the UK. They do miniseries all the time, and they've always done miniseries. I think I'm just gonna check this. There's a show called Skins. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I don't think so.
It's about
I think my first
it's
I think
basically
my first
like,
experience with sorry, I think my first experience with a forever long show or wait in between shows was actually Sherlock
yeah.
because because I came into it after season 2 and there was still a while until season 3 came out. And I'm like, wait, this is the norm? You guys wait for 2 years in between your 2, 3 years in between your shows for some of your shows over there across the pond?
Yeah, we do. Okay, I found it. Skins had 10 episodes a year, if that. And
Okay.
it came out in 2007.
Mhm.
So it had 7 seasons, and you had 6 to 10 episodes a year. And it ended in
Mhm.
2013. So that's an example of like a show with like not really a miniseries again, but a show with, short seasons. Like for some shows it works, and I think for Good Omens it definitely worked, especially because Good Omens didn't have chapters.
Mhm.
And you know what it doesn't work for? I have a really good example for this. Doctor Who.
I guess I can get it. Yep, yep, yep. You
Doctor
can tell
Who
a
does not
decline.
work in the streaming age. It really does. You can't condense an episodic series into 8 effing episodes. You can't do that.
Yeah, you feel a big difference, and it just feels like. I mean, Judy, we literally had him for. Okay, so he would have had like maybe it was somewhere between 12 and 16 episodes. I'd have to look
No,
it up, but
no,
like,
wait. I think he had 18 episodes because this Christmas specials count as well. He had like
okay.
18 or 19 episodes. That is not enough.
No, either way, it just feels like that's why I don't. I think he did the best with what he had, but he just. It's the same reason why, even though a lot of people love Christopher Eccleston because he's their doctor, I don't
Mhm.
mind him, but I just didn't have the time to like get emotionally invested in him like I did David and Matt.
But the thing is,
The time just wasn't there for me.
like, Christopher Eccleston, I will argue, had a really good character arc over the 13 episodes.
Mhm.
He evolved and he changed, so I don't understand. And it was actually a really good way to close. It felt natural to close off after
Mhm.
one season for me. With Shooty, though, he had 18 or 19 episodes, and I don't feel like I know him at all.
Yeah. And I think I do agree that, like, for the new age of Doctor Who, like, even setting aside what was dealing with behind the scenes, um, I do feel like for Christopher that was the smart move, because it was setting up the audience for, like, this is what the show is, this is the expectation. You need to be prepared for it to be changing and evolving and becoming different all the time. And so, yeah, that also did lend Christopher's time a very different vibe than Judy's vibe, because it felt like there was a good purpose to, like, being prepared that he was going to set us up for what was to come, as opposed to Judy. I'm sure it was all behind the scenes BS of Disney stringing them along and not committing. And he's like, well, I need you to make a decision at some point, or I'm sorry, I've got to, you know,
Yeah.
I've gotta move on with my career if I'm just sitting here waiting for you to give the green light.
Again, though, I blame Russell. I don't blame Disney as much as I blame Russell, because Disney didn't write the thing. Russell did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel
Agreed.
like he had an opportunity for another fantastic Doctor, and he modernized him to hell and decided to make him for the kids, and it was just not working.
Yeah.
Like, he could have been Shooty. My envision for Shooty Gat was Doctor was like this really dark, edgy, psychotic kind of character arc. And that was what I wanted so badly. And we came close to it in the Interstellar Song Contest, and then they just did nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
People complained, I didn't. I like my dark, edgy Doctor. But yeah,
But
Good
yeah,
Omens works
there's
as like a six
definitely
episode. Oh yeah, go on.
yeah, there's definitely a different feel. And other my other struggle with, like, the streaming era is, why does everything, it feels like, now have to take 2 to 3 years in between seasons? It's like, okay, if there's some of them that, because of you getting higher caliber actors that are harder to pin down their schedules or whatever reason, if there's some, but, like, you can't tell me, like, some people are really pointing out, I think I haven't watched it, but I think there's a show called The Bear, if you've heard of it.
I have heard of it. I
It's
haven't
like,
watched it, but I've heard it's
yeah,
very good.
yeah, people say it's good, and they're like, see, streaming, they still put out a season every year. Why is no one else doing this? Or very few people. So it's like, yeah, we could still. That's the other frustration I have with why it killed me to wait so long for Good Omens, because it's like, guys, come on. Another show I have to wait almost 3 years for.
If the BBC made Good Omens alone, which they could have very well done, I feel like we wouldn't have had to wait so long.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Amazon is a lot to blame for this. Like, BBC obviously were part of the process of making Good Omens. But Amazon were the distributors, and it all kind of lay on them to, like, get this
Mm-hmm.
right and get this done. I like to imagine a world where Good Omens had, and this is as a Doctor Who fan, had crappy effects, had a really low budget, and was still so good
Mm-hmm.
because the BBC made it. And the BBC, I don't like them as a company. I think they're very sketchy. Like, some of the things that I'm not going to talk about them here, but some of the things that they've, like, covered up over the years, and like, if you know, you know what I mean. But, like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not good people, you know what I mean, but they're a good company. They make good stuff. They just need to
And
hire. Oh, go on.
and I think they were just like, what's frustrating to me is I feel like they were just trying to make themselves, like, I don't even know how to phrase this, separate themselves, or, like, be as least involved or draw as little attention to themselves as they possibly could as all of this crap came out, because,
Yeah.
like, just the simple fact that they were just going to quietly shelve it and not actually have the guts to if that was going to be their reaction before Rihanna got involved to say anything, because like it was a mess how everything came out with like it coming out on some random podcast that no one ever heard of and had no kind of like accreditation or credibility or whatever. And so it just felt like, okay, what's going on here? I feel like there was a lot of like confusion, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of like what's going on. And I've also heard someone online who read the thing and they said, honestly, I was furious listening to it because the people involved deserved better. The journalism in this thing was absolutely horrendous how they handled the story, which is not fair. It's not fair that their poor handling of the story cast doubt or questions or confusion on anything that was involved.
I remember.
And I think
Oh, go on.
it's just frustrating because it's like finally a few months later when bigger networks started talking about it and picking up the story and delving into things and saying, no, here's more credible whatever. It's just frustrating that that wasn't how it happened to begin with, and it had to sow all these seeds of like confusion and what's going on and just like why is this being reported so terribly and handled so terribly. I think one of the examples that this person talked about is in the podcast they like started talking about author's dad and some of his historical stuff, and then they bring it back around and are like, but that's not to say that anything he did has anything to do with him. And
so
it's like,
what's the point in bringing it up
what
then?
you were trying to say. Why bring it up then?
Yeah, so what's the point in bringing it up then? What, like, I never listened to the podcast, but I listened to like a chunk of it on YouTube or something like that. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And
it's
like,
just maddening.
And I remember waking up on some random Wednesday in the middle of the night and checking my phone and finding out that the BBC had finally covered it. And suddenly it was everywhere. Because here's the thing. Do you want to know something mind-blowingly stupid? In Ireland, I don't know about the UK, I don't know about the US, but his books are still on the shelves. They're still everywhere. No one has taken them down. No one has done anything because he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. And if he hasn't been convicted of anything yet, then it's fine, apparently. It's like, it's so bad. And I'm just, I remember being in college and going to the library in my college and seeing Coraline on the shelf and going, why is this here? I literally said to my friend at the time, I was like, ew, why is this here? And I felt like going up to the woman who, you know, ran the place and being like, why is it? But I didn't want to cause a scene, so I just kind of left it there. And when the BBC finally reported it, that's when people finally started to like... Because I remember that at the moment the BBC reported it, the Doctor Who fandom spoke out. And I want to say something. I want to call out the Good Omens fandom a bit. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the Doctor Who fandom, as horrible as they are, when they found out about the allegations, they took them mega seriously. When the BBC finally reported them and they found out, they were like, okay, we're not going to watch certain episodes anymore, like, unless we've paid for them already. We're not going to, you know, we're not going to give him any credit. Like, we're not going to associate him with Doctor Who anymore because he's a horrible person. The Good Omens fandom had a very different reaction. And it's weird because Good Omens is for the older people. Doctor Who is meant to be for the younger people. And yet the Doctor Who community were very understanding and respectful, whereas the Good Omens fandom were like, yeah, but what about our show? And I was just sitting there like, dude, stop it. You know, just stop it. Just shut up. It's not about your show anymore. You know, like, I was at the point, Maddie, where I was like, if it doesn't get finished, it doesn't get finished. It's for the best. And then I had people say, like, even in my comment section, like when I announced that I was stepping away from the podfix and not doing them anymore, and I will call this person out. I don't remember my screen name, but I will call this person out. I literally had a person say to me, if you give up your podfix, I'm done with you. You no longer have a supporter in me. And I'm like, I'm not losing any sleep over that.
Yeah.
And also, I had, and this was quite triggering for me at the time, but part of the Neil Gaiman case is that Neil Gaiman came out and was like, oh, this victim has false memories as part of like a mental health condition. And I said in that video discussing it that I also suffer with false memories because I have OCD. And I had a person comment and say to me, well, if you have false memories, how can I trust you? And I was just sitting there as a person with severe OCD, I was like, oh, it triggered me so bad.
And that's not okay.
This is how the fandom reacted. This is how they chose to freaking handle it, and I lost so much respect. I really did. Like, it's one thing to tell a person with OCD that they can't be trusted when they don't feel like they can trust themselves because of their illness. But it's another thing to say, oh, you know, I'm done with you if you make the right moral choice. Because I remember talking to a friend about it and her being like, you know, if you want to stop the podfix, go ahead and stop the podfix, but don't let people tell you what you can and can't do. You know?
Right?
It was it was so difficult for so many people, and I imagine David and Michael got the worst of it.
Oh yeah, that's what kills me is like people going after them. It's like, you think that they wanted this or they wanted to be associated with this? Like, this is something that is near and dear to their hearts. This is like I think this is probably, I mean, David said in the interview, this is something that's probably going to stick with him in a way that like very few projects have. He's like, about this project and the people involved and the story that like really got to him. And I had I love this girl. There's a girl who Lauren Rogers, who did like a 2-hour
I love Lauren Rogers.
Dive into all of David's work. Have you watched it?
I have watched it, yes, I have.
And I love her talking about Crowley. She's like, this is like I think this is some of the peak pinnacle of any work David has ever done as an actor. This is just all of his strength, all of like every little element of how good he is on display in this one singular character. And so, and I believe that's true, and I think the same thing for Aziraphale. Michael there's something about Aziraphale and how he locks in with Aziraphale that just is incredible.
Oh yeah. And it's like, I have a story actually.
Yeah.
I like when Lauren Rogers got on Instagram, I decided to message them just to say like, you know, I'm a huge fan and stuff like that. It was so awkward. Not because of Lauren or anything that they said, but because of me and my social awkwardness. They were really nice and really sweet to me throughout the whole interaction, but I was just like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan. And it was just so awkward for me, but nothing to do with Lauren. Lauren, if you're listening, nothing to do with you at all. It's all just me and my social awkwardness and my autism.
Just one more example of the hype between like seasons. Everybody, it still blows my mind. I've never in real time seen Archive of Our Own blow up with Fix It Fix in the way it did after season 2. The fandom was just absolutely feral.
I know, it was so bad. It was so bad.
So much art, so much fix, so much like, okay, we need something to tide us over until we find out what happens.
And within the hour. Like, they came out so
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
So fast. Like, it was mental. Can I say mental? Yeah, it was
Mm,
mental.
yeah. I mean, I was there. I was scrolling through all of them as well. Like, okay, get me through however long I'm gonna have to wait.
Without spoiling anything, why were the fix better than the actual payoff?
Um, I don't know. See, this is the thing that I like. I don't know. It's a hard balance to walk. Of like, I don't know where that line is because I've never been in these shoes of feeling like you like. I feel like fans want to like be given what they want, but like authors do have that right to tell the story that they want to tell and have that integrity of this is where I always plan the story to go, even if it's not where people think it's going or not where most of the tropes seem to guide it towards. And so it is that tricky line of like, how do you feel like you're giving the fans what they're gonna want, but you're not letting yourself, letting how you feel in your gut you want the story to go, be affected by, oh, what do the fans think, or that, it's a hard line to walk, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. And that's the thing is that it was never gonna please everyone, and we'll get more into it when we talk about the actual finale. But it was never gonna please everybody. I think we
Because
all kind of
everyone had their own ideas, clearly, by how many fix there were, and so it's just, you just had to accept that, and kudos to them for being, bracing themselves. Poor Rachel Talele, I know she was saying how nervous and scared she was to like even put out the trailer because she knew how people were gonna pick every little piece of that apart and how emotionally invested people were gonna be.
yeah, and I think like because I remember like not everyone, but a big portion of the fandom were like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and I was just sitting there like, "Yeah, it's gonna be good, but don't expect it to be like this big freaking spectacle of greatness because it's been condensed into 90 minutes. Watch for that. You have to watch out for what's been cut, and without spoiling anything, like we said in last week's, it's really obvious that it's been cut. Like in certain points, it's so painfully obvious that they've just had to cut it down. You know?
Mhm. Yeah, but I agree with most reviews that the saving grace and what made it all worth it was, again, David and Michael. They
Yep.
brought us the best they could with the cards that they were dealt.
Yeah, but do you know what? I have so much respect for them just for that alone. If I didn't love them already, which I do, but I have so much respect for them already because
Mm.
they could have said no. They could have said no. You know what? We're not doing it, but they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always respect
Agreed.
them for that.
Agreed.
All right, so I think we better wrap up. This has been fun.
Woo-hoo. It has, and I'm very excited to get to continue on, and we're getting just closer and closer to the finale.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm gonna complain so much. I just want everyone to know that now. I'm going to complain so much. Like, Maddie, you're gonna hate me after episode 9. It's gonna be so bad.
It's totally fine.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Maddie.
And this has been the Ineffable Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.